Jane says,
Good morning. Welcome to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, and Calvin Eatonhoff coming to you live from our studio in a snowy downtown Waukesha. You can always join the show. Call or text at 855-75-CIVIC or leave a comment on the live stream if you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, and or Twitter. Busy show coming up today. Greg Bach, Dan Schaefer is going to be here at 10:33. We will recombobulate with Dan Schaefer, and I'm pretty sure we're going to talk about the two referendums that are going to be on the April 2nd ballot. We've had a lot of questions about that. We are going to be talking to someone from the League of Women Voters. That's going to be next Tuesday. But Dan Schaefer coming up at 10:33, so stay close for that. Right now, though, you know what time it is?
What time is it, Jane?
We are riding into spring, Greg Bach.
Are we?
Yes, maybe not today.
Okay.
But it's our Ride into Spring Text to Win statewide contest. And so this hour, you have a special word. And the word you want to text once you download the Civic Media app. So just go to your app store, download the Civic Media app.
Good.
And then you go to whatever station you're listening to across Wisconsin, whether it's Oshkosh or you're in Hayward or Richland Center or here in Waukesha, Racine. Go to your station and text this word. The word this hour is SCORE. SCORE. The word is SCORE. So text that word in on the Civic Media app, and you are in the running for an overnight stay at the Chula Vista Resort in Wisconsin Dells. We have 4 winners a day, and then everybody who enters, including the winners, have a shot at one of 2 grand prizes, including brand new bicycles, a 3-in-1 blender, and an outdoor patio love seat.
I want to win 2 of those 3 prizes.
You can't.
I know.
We can't win those. But,
I know.
But you can. You have until 11 o'clock to text the word SCORE, SCORE, on the Civic Media app, and you will be in the running. You only have to do that once an hour. Your next chance will be in the 1 o'clock hour with Todd Alba, and then the 3 p.m. hour with Maggie Dawn.
Just as a reiteration to those, because we just got one coming in. Whomever texted from the 414, you have to text through the Civic Media app to enter the contest.
Right.
And you have to get the right word. So the word is SCORE. SCORE. SCORE.
What was the text?
4 as in golf.
Not 4.
Not 4. Score. We got
4 score and 7 years ago.
It was snowing probably like this.
Speaking of WISN reporting our snowfall totals as of 8 o'clock this morning, Waukesha already at 8 a.m. had 6.4 inches. Fort Atkinson with 6.3. Same at the Milwaukee Airport. Mitchell International, 6.3. Oconomowoc, 5.2. Jefferson, 5. West Bend, 5. Saukville, 5. Brookfield, 4.9. Germantown, 3. Plymouth, 2.5. Heartland, you just got a little kiss there in Heartland, 2 inches. So Waukesha is kind of in the lead right now. Yay, us.
Did you say which Kenosha was? Kenosha, rain.
They did not list Kenosha because you said when you got up at 4, it wasn't that bad.
When I got up this morning, it was raining. There was a dusting. There's been some accumulation now. We just saw it on our ring camera,
right?
But nothing compared to what we have in Waukesha.
And we're not quite done yet. It's still coming down out here in Waukesha. And another reminder to you as well to check out that 511wi.gov site.
Yes.
It's really, really useful having. It shows you every accident all across the state of Wisconsin. You can zoom in. You can look at the traffic cameras. You can see where all the closures are. I'm looking at the map right now. It's much better than it was when I first got in about 7:30 this morning. But still, there are a bunch of accidents around the Milwaukee area, Racine, Waukesha, also in Madison, the Madison area. The rest of the state is not looking too bad as far as the roads go. But just be careful if you have to get out, especially around southeastern Wisconsin. It was a mess this morning. It took me an hour.
It was absolutely terrible. And folks, 511wi.gov. Jane's looking at it on her computer right now. I'm looking at it on my phone because it is a handy dandy app as well. Free to use, of course. So get that into your pocket. It's very, very helpful. Yeah, when I came in this morning, I told you this. When I came in, Kenosha there was nothing happening in Kenosha. Racine was starting to pick up. Milwaukee, the plows were out, and they hit the Beloit exit at 894 that leads you into Waukesha County, and they stopped and moved into the lanes over to go back into Milwaukee. I'm sure they're Milwaukee County, so that makes sense. But from that moment to driving here, nothing was plowed, nothing was done. It was a disaster, in my
And
opinion.
and you can't see any
Nope.
road lanes, that you can't see the lane markers that way.
Nope, nope. And I'm driving in backcountry roads to get here, and it was. I mean, I'm driving 35 miles an hour in a 50, and people are right behind. I'm like, you
You're
can.
gonna wait all day.
Yep, we'll get there eventually,
Yeah.
folks.
Yep. All right. So please be careful as you are out and about today. The snow
Yes.
should be wrapping up hopefully by 2 o'clock. I
Around
think
2:00. Yes.
we will let you know if we see any major accidents or anything like that, if that pops up. We're going to start off, though, with our favorite House Speaker, Assembly Speaker, rather, Robin Voss.
Robin of
Robin of Voss.
Racine.
Robin of Racine.
Robin of Voss.
Robin of Voss. Robin of Voss.
First in his name.
Yesterday, Robin Voss filed a recall signature challenge with the Wisconsin Elections Commission. The challenge claims that although organizers of this recall effort against him submitted over 10,000 signatures, the commission itself had an initial finding that only about 6,000 of those came from the previous 63rd Assembly District under the old maps.
Yeah.
So Robin says the recall petitions were also plagued with fraud and criminality. As to the circulators, several have felony convictions. Names were forged on signature pages, including those of children. Addresses could not be verified, according to Robin Voss's attorney. Turning to the signers, hundreds of them signed multiple times, used illegible writing, or provided incomplete address information. His challenge says the entire recall effort must be rejected for legal reasons because the Wisconsin Supreme Court struck down the GOP voting maps as unconstitutional. As a result, a recall cannot occur in the district that's listed on the petitions. And Robin says he remains proud to represent Racine County, and he's grateful the community, quote, continues to stand behind me and my record.
I mean, you'll find a way to use some maps to do this if it went through. I don't think it should be struck down completely because there are no maps. I think every single illegitimate name should be taken off of the recall forms, and then you count them again, and then you go from there. If they don't have enough, then the recall doesn't go through. But to add cherries and whipped cream onto all of this malarkey,
good word.
Yeah, I mean, it shouldn't be thrown out for any other reason than it's not a credibly executed recall effort. So after that, no, you don't get to maps shouldn't be taken into consideration. If it goes through, then we figure out the maps, whether we use the new maps or we use the old maps, because that's where you're elected. But come on, Robin.
The petitioners do have a chance to respond to these allegations. The Wisconsin Elections Commission has to eventually vote on whether or not to order the recall. This is the culmination of former President Trump and his supporters turning on Voss for allegedly not doing more to support the big lie that the 2020 election was stolen.
Because I'm sure we'll talk about this before it's finally over, no matter the outcome. Are there any other statewide leaders in the country facing recalls because of their inability, quote unquote, to make the 2020 election, to nullify those votes?
I'm not that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, there
has
certainly been a number of them who have been threatened, and their family members threatened, terrible things.
Yes.
But I think Robin, he's a soul. He gets to claim this all for his own. It's just about you, Robin. And Calvin, if we have that little clip about how Robin Voss feels about the people who are trying to recall him, let's just have a little reminder of this.
The people who organize this are so out of touch with reality. And I'm just going to keep saying it over and over again. They are morons. They are stupid.
These are Trump supporters.
Yeah.
That filed this recall petition.
Correct.
So is he referring to those people as morons and whack jobs?
And stupid, yes. Yes, he is.
Trump supporters.
Yes. Well, I'll bet you any amount of money if you put Robin in a room, he'd clarify that and say, not all Trump supporters, the ones who are a part of this movement. But I don't see a lot of these individuals. I mean, I don't know any liberals in that area who are part of this effort. Everyone's like, nope, this isn't this
That's
is
all your baby.
This is your circus.
This is your baby.
Yeah.
Robin Voss has repeatedly called a recall a waste of time and resources. Well, if there's anything Robin knows, it is about wasting resources. We should probably take his word on that.
I mean, I totally agree with him on this one. I completely agree.
Let's not forget, Robin Voss spent $2 million of taxpayer money hiring Michael Gableman to go attend conferences with the My Pillow guy, traveling all over the place, never found any evidence of election fraud. Sorry.
Went on record many times saying the 2020 election was safe, fair, and decided.
Quote, the people who organized this are so out of touch with reality, Robin Voss says. These people do not deserve the respect that anybody gave them. The Challenge says one woman from Burlington said she was approached by two men in a parking lot who asked her if she'd sign a petition supporting women's rights.
Wow.
The men prevented her from getting into her vehicle and told her she couldn't get in unless she signed the petition.
Oh, I want those two men arrested.
That seems illegal.
Yeah, that seems like coercion. That seems like something should be investigated by a police officer.
An affidavit from another man from Burlington alleges, quote, he witnessed a recall circulator telling bar patrons he was collecting signatures to allow Donald Trump to appear on the presidential ballot. It is a felony for a circulator to fraudulently procure signatures by misrepresenting the nature of the recall petition.
I mean,
and just on the flip side, I have gotten some emails from some of the people involved, maybe peripherally, with this recall election, and now they're calling Robin Voss Robin CCP Voss. Because now he's apparently aligned with the Chinese Communist Party.
Oh man, that's so funny. That's so funny. That's so dumb. So dumb.
Oh, whack jobs and morons. All right, yes. They are coming for it. They're coming for your Social Security. We'll kick that around next. Stay close. You're watching and listening to Matenaer On Air on the Civic Media Radio Network.
She can't hurt. She don't mean no harm. She just don't know what else to do about it. If there's anything that you want, if there's anything I can do, just call on me and I'll send it along with love.
Good morning, and welcome to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, Dr. Slide on the board, coming to you from our studio in downtown Waukesha. Call or text, join the show at 855-75-CIVIC, 855-752-4842, or leave a comment on the live stream if you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, or the platform that Elon has ruined. Just a reminder, it is our Text Into Spring statewide contest. You have until 11 o'clock this hour to text the word SCORE, SCORE. Text the word SCORE from the Civic Media app. Go to whatever station you're listening to across the state. WISS, for example, and then text the word SCORE to that, and you will be entered in the contest. Could win an overnight stay at Chula Vista Resort and then be in the running for one of 2 grand prizes, including new bicycles and a fancy schmancy blender.
Or nothing.
Nice things.
Oh, it's a 3 and a.
It's a 3-in-1. It's a 3-in-1 blender,
Oh, 3
and then an outdoor patio love seat. So you have until 11 o'clock to text that in. SCORE is the word for this hour. Yeah, they're coming for your Social Security. The budget released Wednesday by the Republican Study Committee that includes more than 170 House GOP lawmakers, and I believe I heard Pat Kreitlow single out our Wisconsin lawmakers, including Tom Tiffany, Ryan Steil,
Yes.
Scott Fitzgerald,
Yes.
and I'm forgetting one.
Was it Van Orden?
Oh, no, I don't think it was Van Orden.
It
wasn't Van Orden.
And it wasn't who's the one?
Grothman.
Grothman. It was Grothman.
It was Grothman.
Grothman.
So they are part of this group who want to essentially, again, they're going to cut Social Security. The budget endorses a bunch of bills which are designed to advance the cause of life. This includes the Life at Conception Act, which will aggressively restrict abortion and potentially threaten in vitro fertilization. So again, when they say that they're not going to do that, yes, they are. Yes, they are. For Social Security, the budget endorses modest adjustments to the retirement age for future retirees to account for increases in life expectancy. It calls for lowering benefits for the highest earning beneficiaries. And it emphasizes these are not designed to take effect immediately. Well, of course not, because they want to get reelected. The RSC budget does not cut or delay retirement benefits for any senior in or near retirement. Just, again, jumping our Wayback Machine to the State of the Union address, which was all of, 2 weeks ago?
2-3 weeks ago, yeah.
2 or 3 weeks ago. And President Biden mentioned this during his State of the Union address. Calvin, let's hear that clip.
Tonight, let's all agree once again to stand up for seniors. Many of my friends on the other side of the aisle want to put Social Security on the chopping block. If anyone here tries to cut Social Security, Medicare, or raise the retirement age, I will stop you. The working people who built this country pay more into Social Security than millionaires and billionaires do. It's not fair. We have 2 ways to go. Republicans can cut Social Security and give more tax breaks to the wealthy. That's the proposal. Oh no, you guys don't want another $2 trillion tax cut? I kind of thought that's what your plan was. Well, that's good to hear. You're not going to cut another $2 trillion for the super wealthy. That's good to hear. I'll protect and strengthen Social Security and make the wealthy pay their fair share.
Yeah, and just a reminder that as I was downloading this clip this morning, as he said, Republicans are coming for, your Social Security, and they're all in there shaking their heads. No, we're not going to do that. Yeah. You are, and you've always wanted to.
The back of their heads, they were like, how do you know? Really quick, we're protecting seniors, but don't forget people my age in their 40s.
Yep.
I want to protect me too. I said it before. I've been paying into Social Security since I was 12.
And if you're a Medicare recipient, this should also concern you. This new budget calls for converting Medicare to a premium support model, which is something that former Speaker Paul Ryan was a big champion of. Under this new plan by, again, the 170 House Republicans, the Republican Study Committee, under the new plan, traditional Medicare would compete with private plans, and beneficiaries would be given subsidies to shop for the policies of their choice. I don't know a great deal about this. That sounds like a really bad idea to me.
Yeah. It goes along like the whole health savings account. We put it in your hands.
Right.
We take it. We're done with it. We're going to put it in your hands. So it's your fault if it fails. No, this was a commitment. This was a promise from the government from nearly 100 years ago now. We're going on. It's like 80 plus years. We've been paying into it. That's my money.
Yes.
and I'm owed it. It's not an entitlement. It's my investment. And if it's gone, let me know what lawyer I can hire to sue the government for wasting my money.
Even MAGA Republican Josh Hawley of Missouri said, quote, "What a terrible idea. If Republicans want to be in the minority party forever, then go ahead and endorse that. Republicans are so stupid. If they want to go to working people and say, congratulations, you have paid into this your whole life, your payroll taxes, and now we're going to take part of it away from you. We're going to make you work even longer than we said beforehand." Again, this is Josh Hawley, Republican from Missouri. I just think it's the stupidest thing I ever heard.
Why is it that Republican senators seem to get it more than congressmen? Like, congressmen tend to do these things that seem very short-sighted, that seem very
Not well
almost
thought out.
like get rich quick schemes. Like, yeah, we're going to do this. And then the senators in the same party are like, what are you doing, you dumb babies?
The other thing this targets is the Affordable Care Act.
Of course.
And they've been wanting to kill that since it passed. And again, memory lane, my friends. Donald Trump promised we're going to get rid of Obamacare. We're going to kill it and replace it with something so much better. So much better. And it never happened.
Never happened. It's coming.
Just like the infrastructure plan.
Yep. It's
that
coming.
was always 2 weeks away.
I wonder if Trump is still being audited too.
That's a really good question.
He's always being audited.
Well, and that's why he could never release his taxes.
Exactly. Being audited, people.
If you ever want to join us, 855-75-CIVIC, 855-752-4842, or leave a comment on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and or Twitter. Again, the word to text in to your station via the Civic Media app this hour is SCORE, SCORE. Dan Schaefer will be here to recombobulate right after the news. Stay close. You're listening to Matenaer On Air. This is the Civic Media Radio Network.
Kiss you and keep you satisfied. If there's anything that you want, if there's anything I can do, just call on me and I'll send it along with love from me to you. From me to you, just call on me and I'll send it along with love from me to you. I got arms that long to hold you and keep you by my side. I got lips that long to kiss you and keep you satisfied. If there's anything that you want, if there's anything I can do, just call on me.
morning and welcome to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, Sweet Cal B on the board. Thank you so very much for joining us. You can always join the conversation. Call or text at 855-75-CIVIC, 855-752-4842, or leave a comment on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and the platform that Elon has ruined. As he does every Friday at this time, we are joined by the award-winning author of The Recombobulation Area. Dan Schaefer is here. Good morning, Dan. How you doing? How's the snow situation in downtown Milwaukee?
Yeah. Good morning, Jane. Always happy to be with you. Yeah, just shoveled out. Didn't get up early to do it. Just decided to take the day as it comes. And my daughter is snowed in from her daycare today, so she helped me shovel out too. So there we go.
How old is your daughter?
The youngest is with me. She's 3. So
She's 3.
Aw.
I'm sure she was an enormous help
she
to
did
Daddy.
most of the work. Yeah, that's right.
Your most recent column on the recombobulation area, and we've had a lot of questions about this, Dan, and I'm glad you're here to talk about this. We're also going to have someone here next week on Tuesday from the League of Women Voters. But there's a lot of questions about these 2 referendum that are going to be on the April 2nd ballot and what this means and why they want to do this and what this would do. So which one would you like to start with?
Yeah, we can start with the first one. I think the first one is the one that, I had most of my focus in the column that I wrote on the recombobulation area about this. But the question being asked on these ballot referendum questions that would amend the state constitution. So I think that needs to be perhaps made a little bit more clear in this process. These are not just like a thumbs up or thumbs down on a certain policy or whatever. These would amend the state constitution. So the first question has to deal with the use of private funds, quote unquote, private funds in election administration. And I think on the surface, it might be a question that people might say yes to. It said, we don't want to have private funds in an election administration. We should commit public dollars to this. But once you examine the context of all of this and examine the larger issue, it's pretty clear that this is just an effort by the state Republican Party to appease election deniers who have glommed on to this conspiracy theory that they call Zuckerbucks about the 2020 presidential election. And I really don't think we should be amending the state constitution to appease people who are obsessed with something called Zuckerbucks. And so as I wrote, the way I kind of characterized this in my piece is that this is good in theory, bad in practice, and worse in process. And so in theory, it's good to ban ban private dollars. I think I might even agree with that, but I don't think the way that this has happened is the right way to do things. So a couple of years ago, in the wake of 2020, Republicans passed this bill that would do the same, that it would ban, quote unquote, private funds for election administration. And this was after in 2020, a nonprofit organization that was funded by Mark Zuckerberg and his wife sent a bunch of dollars to local governments across the state. More than 35 counties in the state of Wisconsin participated in this. More than 100 municipalities participated in this. But because the majority of the dollars went to, the highest population cities in the state of Wisconsin, Republicans said, "Oh, these are just like Democrat turnout, whatever nonsense to impact the election results." And as we've known, all of these 2020 conspiracy theories, they are nonsense and have been endlessly debunked. But Republicans tried to ban this in a bill. The bill got no Democratic support, and it was vetoed by Governor Evers. So instead of going back to the drawing board and saying,
no, now they're just going to go around it, right?
Right. So instead of trying to do this in a bipartisan way, what they did was use, a mechanism in the state constitution that allows for these ballot questions. So they passed this measure in successive legislative sessions and put it on the ballot for the spring election, thinking that this might be a competitive presidential election primary, and you'd get more Republican voters to the polls, activate that base that is still so obsessed with the 2020 presidential election, and use this to amend the Constitution. Which is a pretty ridiculous way to operate. You know, one of the people that I quoted talking to in this story was saying that, the legislature should not be in the practice of amending the Constitution every time they can't pass a bill. That's a quote from Sam Liebert, the state director for All Voting is Local. And I think that's a pretty good way of putting it. This is this is a really bad referendum question, and it's just sets a really bad precedent for how we govern in the state of Wisconsin.
Dan Schaefer is our guest from the recombobulation area, and we're talking about the two referendum that are going to be showing up on the ballot if you live in Wisconsin on April 2nd. And the first one is about this use of private funds to administer elections. Dan, can we talk more specifically about what that money was used for? I mean, were they just going out and buying people? What is the big accusation here?
Yeah, I mean, the main use of these funds from the nonprofit organization funded by Mark Zuckerberg and his wife, they went to help local municipalities administer the election during the COVID-19 pandemic. So this meant things like PPE and any extra things that we had. Think back to 2020, there were so many different things that we needed to run an election a little bit differently than we had in the past. We were not always very safe to go out at the,
you make a really good you make a really good point though, Dan, because I think people forget a lot of poll workers elected not to work that election because so many of them were elderly with their health at risk.
Right. And this is, and so I think, could we have taken action in the state of Wisconsin to properly publicly fund these elections? Yeah, that's what we should have done in 2020. But you know what? Our state legislators took 300 days from doing anything, so we didn't get any reforms passed that could have actually helped election workers. And that's part of why this is bad in process too. Because let's say this passes, and this is a very confusingly worded, question, and I think that's intentional. And I think, like last year when there were similarly confusing referendum questions on the spring election ballot advanced by Republicans, even though Jana Protasewicz won a double-digit victory, these ballot referendums that were advanced by Republicans also passed with pretty overwhelming majorities. And so if this passes, local governments that administer elections in the state of Wisconsin, they don't get any extra funding to do this. So, they may have been relying on the funding from nonprofits, and every nonprofit has to abide by the laws of the state of Wisconsin, or else they're going to be prosecuted. And that's what has been endlessly proven to be what has happened. So, I think this is also bad in practice too, because if you remove this without taking action, simultaneous action to publicly fund election administration, you're going to have additional problems with that. And so it's going to take longer for poll workers to process those ballots, and we're going to get even deeper into the night, to get those results from various municipalities around the state. It's such a bad process for this, in addition to being, something confusing and just not going through the traditional channels to make this actual change.
One of the things with regard to that bill about counting votes early, I mentioned it before that, on election night, there's going to be all these people saying, why can't we do this? Why can't we do this? I can't wait for someone or everyone or all the news people to say, we had the chance.
Yes.
Yeah. They didn't do it. It passed in the assembly, and then it stopped in the Senate for whatever reason. And now here we are.
Well, it sort of makes one feel like they don't really want a whole bunch of people to vote. Seems counterintuitive for a democratic republic. I just, that just makes one question things a little bit.
I don't know about you, but I tend to I think democracy is good, and more people should vote.
I'm a fan.
We're all. I think we're all kind of fans here on the democracy train. So the second question: election officials. Shall Section 7.2 of Article 3 be created to provide that only election officials designated by law may perform tasks in the conduct of primaries, elections, and referendums. What does that mean?
Yeah, so this centers around another 2020 election conspiracy theory advanced by Republicans. Again, we should not be using 2020 election conspiracy theories to rewrite our state constitution. But this
I would
centers
go and
around
say we should use no conspiracy theories.
maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, Greg. Um, so, so this is a conspiracy theory having to do with a consultant in Green Bay that worked with that nonprofit that was funded by the Zuckerberg family, and he was, there additional reviews and reports and analysis or whatever has shown that the city of Green Bay, where this consultant was working, handled their election properly. It's just yet another on the list of ridiculous 2020 things. But this would really open up. There was a good piece from a publication called Bolts online that looks into a lot of nuts and bolts of election and democracy work happening across the country. But I think this would really open up for a lot of lawsuits and a lot of changes. And I think, again, it's part of the same thing. We should vote no on both of these ballot referendum questions, because we should not be amending our state constitution to appease election deniers. If there is a path to making a change here, and look, I might agree with you saying that we should get private dollars out of election administration, but the way to do that is in the legislature, and the way to do that is by passing a bill, and the way to do that is by passing a bipartisan bill. So that's
And that's not going to happen.
Well, it could. I mean, flip the assembly this fall. Maybe we could, have a different environment in the state legislature for overall passing of legislation. I think we can have these conversations. They were able to get a bipartisan bill passed in the assembly to get the absentee ballot count changed. I think we could take steps forward with this too.
Calvin, do we still have that clip of Robin Voss available? I just want to remind folks exactly what Robin Voss thinks about people who believe that the 2020 election was stolen, just as a little reminder.
The people who organize this are so out of touch with reality. And I'm just going to keep saying it over and over again. They are morons. They are stupid.
But
The way he says stupid.
But he loves you. And just, he needs your vote. So anyway,
They're stupid.
I think too, and as you said too, Dan, and I absolutely agree with you. These referendum, when they're intentionally murky, they are intentionally written to be confusing or worded so that people will be voting against their own best interest. There's got to be a special group of people who sits down and writes these things.
Lawyers.
Oh yeah.
A special kind of lawyer, though, who can sit down and say, how can we write this so it's as confusing as humanly possible?
Yeah, I'm sure there are lawyers from certain institutes involved in the crafting of this.
I could hazard a guess. I think maybe not.
Yeah.
Maybe not. All right. We're going to talk a little basketball. When we return, I do want to remind you, you have until 11 o'clock to download the Civic Media app. Go to your app store, download the Civic Media app, and then go to whatever station you're listening to across the state, whether you're in Hayward or Oshkosh or Richland Center or Amory. And then you text to that station the word SCORE, SCORE. Text the word SCORE, and you are in the running for an overnight stay at the Chula Vista Resort in Wisconsin Dells. And then everybody who wins and everybody who enters has a shot at one of our 2 grand prizes, including new bicycles, a 3-in-1 blender, and an outdoor patio love seat. Text the word SCORE via the Civic Media app by 11 o'clock, SCORE. Stay close. Dan Schaefer will continue recombobulating on Matenaer On Air. You're listening across the Civic Media Radio Network.
Hoping for a relaxing weekend. Once I get strapped in the tube 10, wheels up and we'll be rocking. Getting out of frozen Wisconsin. I need you to recombobulate me. I want you to recombobulate me. I need you to recombobulate me. Won't somebody recombobulate me?
Good morning, and welcome to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, the board lord Calvin, coming to you from our studio in downtown Waukesha. We're joined every Friday at this time with Dan Schaefer and the recombobulation area. We were talking a little bit earlier about the two referendum on the April 2nd ballot, and Dan, you were saying that we should vote no on both of those.
Vote no on both. Read the piece at the recombobulation area to get all of my thoughts about why. But this is on, there's going to be important elections up and down the ballot in every community across the state of Wisconsin. And there are going to be important conversations to be had about all of those. But this is one that is going to be on the ballot statewide. So no matter where you are listening from across the state of Wisconsin, these two referendum questions will be on your ballot. So vote no. Don't appease election deniers by amending the state constitution. Just vote no. Let's get this done in the legislature next session.
As Robin Voss himself says, they're morons and they're stupid.
Just do it.
All right, let's talk a little basketball. And Pewaukee grad Jack Golke.
Pewaukee grad Jack, the unlikely hero of the first day of the NCAA men's basketball tournament, which kicked off yesterday. Jack Golke, fellow Pewaukee grad. So I don't know how many of your listeners know this. I went to Pewaukee High School, and so a guy who I definitely heard of before yesterday is now our hero, our hometown hero. Made 10 threes, scored 32 points to help lead Oakland University to upset number 3 seed Kentucky in the NCAA tournament. What a I don't always watch that much college basketball anymore. I'm a huge NBA fan, as you all know. But this is why the tournament is great, because you get dudes like Jack Golke who will go out and just rain threes on future NBA talents in the University of Kentucky and can lead that upset. What a moment.
It was quite delightful, actually, to see Kentucky fall, because they're always way up there, which is always annoying, at least to me. And the school that Golke goes to that's not a powerhouse, is it?
No, I think it might be the first NCAA tournament win in the school's history.
Oh, wow.
Oakland, which is not in the city.
I like the way you keep saying for Oakland.
Yeah, for Oakland, which is not the Bay Area Oakland. This is a school based in Michigan. It's in the same conference as the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. Go
Panthers.
Go Panthers. That's right. But this is pretty cool. There's actually 2 Pewaukee grads playing in the NCAA men's tournament this year. There's also a player playing for Iowa State as well. So it's quite the moment for my alma mater. The high school group chats were blowing up last night when Golke was raining threes, and now he's never going to have to pay for a meal at the 5 o'clock club again. He's gonna be selling houses in Deer Haven based on this. This game will pay for a pontoon boat on Pewaukee Lake.
Do you know how fast you were going? Do you know who I am?
It's interesting though how we glom onto that shared glory. It's like, yeah,
That's
I went to
right.
school with him. I'm the one who shot those shots.
Yeah,
I know, aren't I
that's right.
great? I'm so
That's
great.
right. I graduated, more than 10 years before this guy was ever in high school, but fellow Pewaukee grad,
It's your glory too. It's your glory too, Dan Schaefer. Absolutely. Speaking of basketball, tonight Wisconsin versus James Madison, and that's going to be at 7:30. You can catch the game on locally grown radio, WFHR in Wisconsin Rapids, and also news from the center, WRCE in Richland Center. That game is tonight. Wisconsin against James Madison starts at 7:30.
We got a live stream comment here from Scott from St. Louis. Said a friend of mine who works for Adobe made 2 brackets a few years ago, one based on stats, one based on logo design. Stat bracket with 40th percentile, logo bracket was 90th. Wow. And as they said, as we found out earlier this week, to pick a perfect bracket, you have a 1 in 9.2 quadrillion chance.
There was one year, my wife doesn't watch much college basketball. I had her fill out a bracket one year, and she decided her strategy was to pick all of the states that are not states. So it was like Kent State or whatever, like the
Oh, okay.
yeah. All of us. She's like, I like that. So, and for whatever reason, like a bunch of those teams won, and she was in like the top 1% of brackets on ESPN that year because of her state strategy. So you can watch all of the college basketball you possibly can, but that's what's great about the tournament. It can anything can happen.
And Tony Lone Tree on the live stream also says, don't forget Marquette. You're right, Tony. Thank you. Marquette plays today at 1 p.m. So, and Tony thinks Marquette's going to go farther than the Badgers.
That's what I'm hearing. People are.
Really?
There's not a lot of expectation from the Badgers. They feel like they're going to go like maybe the next
so far, and that's
yeah,
it.
and then they'll be done because they before they got to the tournament they were losing pretty hard.
They had a good run in the Big Ten tournament, though. They had that win over Purdue, right? Eric Hovde's favorite team, Purdue. I don't know if you saw that, but that
Oh
was
yeah,
Yes,
we saw.
yeah. Let's talk
You guys
about
talk
that
about
for a
this
little.
yesterday?
No,
Yep.
we didn't get around to it. I know Pat Kreitler
Oh,
talked
he did.
about
That's
it this
right.
morning. What an interesting thing for Eric Hovde to do. He's running against Senator Tammy Baldwin in Wisconsin, and he picks Purdue. Right?
Yeah. And Purdue, I think he picked Purdue to beat Wisconsin, right?
It's almost like Eric Hovde
Oh.
doesn't get it, or Wisconsin.
Well, and it's just I saw some people playing it off. Oh, it's like, oh, he knows college basketball, so he's a real fan. So he's not just pandering. It's just I don't know. He's running.
No,
such
you
a
pander. This is where you pander.
campaign. Yeah, this is it. He's it's just I don't know. But you know who actually did really well in the bracket as a politician bracket? You know who picked Oakland to beat Kentucky?
Who?
Kamala Harris.
Did she really?
The VP
She's
knows
just walking
ball.
around
Yeah.
She's walking around the East Wing right now, going, "That's right."
Yeah. See, she gets to celebrate that one today. We'll see if Kamala does better than Eric Hovde.
I do find it interesting that people are applauding Eric Hovde for his knowledge of basketball. I mean, okay, great. He knows how to make picks. Let's elect him.
Yeah.
And what could go wrong? That's the perfect basis for choosing someone to represent you in Washington.
Yeah. And I don't know that much about college basketball, but I know enough to know that Purdue has just like is like the most grating team to watch in the Big Ten, and they just have like one giant 7-footer who gets fouled all the time, and the only way they can win is by kind of bending the rules in their favor, which maybe makes sense for a Republican to pick them to win.
Dang. On that note,
Dan Schaefer from the Recombobulation area. Subscribe. It's award-winning. It's wonderful, and it's a steal. Thank you so much, Dan. We will see you next Friday. Stay with us. News is next, coming to you across the Civic Media Radio Network. Good morning. Welcome to Matenaer On Air. So very, very happy to have you along with us. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, and Sweet Cal B on the board, coming to you live from our studio in snowy downtown Waukesha. You can always join the show. You can call, you can text at 855-75-CIVIC, 855-752-4842. Leave a comment on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Just a reminder to download the Civic Media app. That way you can listen to all of our stations all across the state. And we have this great text to win statewide contest going on right now. Ride into spring. Your next chance to enter the word of the hour and get in the running for these prizes: an overnight stay at Chula Vista, possibly the grand prize that has new bicycles and a blender and some outdoor furniture, is at 1 o'clock with Todd Alba.
Correct.
So if you don't have the app, make sure you download the Civic Media app and then be listening to Todd from 1 to 2 p.m. for the next shot at entering our text to win Ride into Spring contest.
Welcome to all the people on the live
It's
stream.
kind of freaking me out. We have 185 people watching on the live stream. Thank you so very much for joining us. Of course, this is the day I have a really bad hair day and I'm wearing a baseball hat.
But you're supporting the Bucks. Bucks and 6, Jane.
Bucks and 6. Okay, fine. But yes, thank you all for joining us. And again, feel free to comment on the live stream. Just keep it civil.
Keep it civil. Keep it nice.
Keep it nice. Keep it clean.
Yeah.
That's all we ask. Governor Evers, yesterday.
Speaking of keeping it clean.
Signed it bipartisan, and we do like to give people a hand when they actually do something for the benefit of the people of Wisconsin in a bipartisan manner. Under this bill signed into law yesterday by Governor Evers, assaulting a Wisconsin election official could result in 18 months in prison. Good. He also signed a measure that prohibits municipalities from closing more than half of its polling places within 30 days before an election. Because that seems to have been a tactic. Well, you wait 15 days before the election.
Yeah.
Oh, now there's only one polling place.
Yeah.
Now we have to find, oh, sorry.
Yeah.
There's certain neighborhoods and certain precincts.
COVID's
like that.
COVID's really bad. We're gonna do this all in like 2 days. You're gonna get 5 polling places,
And that's it. Yeah, make it work.
Yep.
Governor Evers also vetoed several other election-related bills, including GOP's proposals seeking to curb the governor's power to appoint replacements for elected executive branch officials who resign, and they wanted to reduce to 3 feet or less the distance that election observers can stand from where voters have to announce their name and address in order to vote. I don't want those people breathing on me.
No.
3 feet should be more than enough to hear them and see what's going on. You don't need to be standing right shoulder to shoulder as people are trying to cast their ballots.
Yeah, you don't need to be anywhere near me, period. I would rather have there be 10 feet from me. I don't want anyone near me while I'm doing that.
That all concerns me a great deal. These poll watchers. That's something that we're going to be talking about a little bit more as we get closer to the election. The first measure that Evers approved, Senate Bill 822, creates a penalty for assaulting an election official in Wisconsin. It also bars the release under the state's open records law of clerks' personal phone numbers and addresses. Well, good.
Yeah, no doubt. My goodness.
I mean, we all know how much pressure our election officials have been under for the last 4 years since the free and fair election of 2020, and all of the threats and the harassment that these people have undergone. It's insane. Almost 2 of every 3 local elections officials, and this is from Madison.com, across the country say false information is making their jobs more dangerous. The biggest reason retiring clerks don't continue in their jobs, the number one answer, according to this poll, was, quote, too many political leaders are attacking a system that they know is fair and honest, unquote.
It's one thing to be a politician. You run, there is a certain amount of people are going to call you. They're going to come at you. They're not going to like you. They're going to love you. But when you are a city clerk, when you are a city clerk, people should not be trying to get in your personal life.
No.
People should not be trying to find out where you live. I worked with somebody who was a city clerk, and the election time was so stressful for her because putting together an election in a city is tough enough as it is, but you also have people banging on your door saying, I want to be able to do this. Well, I can't let you do this because it's against the law. You're trying to subvert my freedom.
Yeah.
No, I'm really not. I just can't let you breathe on someone's neck as they're voting.
Under the bill, physically attacking election officials would be raised from a misdemeanor to a Class 1 felony. That means offenders could get up to 18 months in prison and 2 years of extended supervision. The penalty for publicizing election officials' phone numbers, addresses, or other personally identifiable information would be raised from a fine to a misdemeanor if the person knows releasing that info is going to, well, of course, it's going to lead to officials getting threats.
Yeah.
It just is.
Yeah, here's their number. Give them a call. Tell them they're nice.
It'll be fine.
Yeah, it'll be. I didn't know. How did I?
Right.
When I put that person's cell phone number on the internet, what did I think was going to happen?
Nothing was, no one's going to pick that up and abuse it at all.
Yeah.
This kicks in on July 1st of 2025. Again, the other measure, Assembly Bill 298, bars cities from closing more than half of their polling places within 30 days before an election. They would also have to post public notices in advance of any planned closures. Now, I don't think this is something that has necessarily happened with a lot of frequency in Wisconsin, but it has happened in other states around the country.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking of Georgia specifically.
Yeah.
Where they just shut down these polling places. Oh, whoops, too bad.
Yeah.
And then don't give people the information on where they need to go.
We posted it on the door. Is it not there anymore?
Yeah. How'd that happen?
Yeah.
How'd that happen? The new law follows a handful of communities' decisions to shut down in 2020 because of the pandemic in Milwaukee. All but 5 of its 182 polling places ultimately were closed, which led to those long lines.
Yep. But I remember going and Bridget and I getting in the car, driving there saying, we've got snacks in the car. We're preparing. It could be 2, 3, 4 hours. We were in line for about an hour and we were in a gym and they had spread out 6 feet by 6 feet by 6 feet. And it went faster than I expected and it wasn't as bad. But, every time they try to put an impediment in front of us at the ballot box, people get together, they find a way, they stand in line, they wait, and then they vote.
Because it's important.
Every time. Yep.
Well, and hence the referendums that we were just talking about with Dan Schaefer. See, we're so stubborn about wanting to be involved in our democracy, Greg Bach.
And the question I wanted to ask Dan too, because like he quoted that one person who said, when you shouldn't try to change the Constitution if you can't change the law, because that could end up blowing up in their face too, in Republicans' faces too down the road. If for some reason something they don't like happens during an election, they say, "Well, you changed the Constitution, so it's gonna bite you in the tush too."
It just may.
Yeah.
It just may. The other thing that happened in the governor's office, Wisconsin political ads must now disclose if they include AI-generated content. I can't believe this hasn't been instituted already.
Well, I mean,
Is it just because AI isn't quite so prevalent yet?
I think this is the first election that has AI as a very
real
and ubiquitous type of thing you can use. It's a lot easier to use than it once was. And this is going to be I feel like this is going to be like the first true AI election, like where it can be used as much as it can be. And yeah, I mean, some will say, I can't believe we have to have a law saying this. No, we do, because some of the first presidential election ads that came out were AI, and people. Well, I shouldn't say from the campaigns. I'm sorry. People were putting out campaign ads that were AI, and they looked horrifying because AI isn't all the way there with generating people at this point.
Right.
But you absolutely should have to disclose that.
The bipartisan, again, well done, people in Madison.
Working together.
You did something. We're so proud. The bipartisan legislation comes this year, some political experts say, is going to be defined by AI-generated content and influence campaigns. Senator Mark Spreitzer, a Democrat of Beloit, one of the co-authors, said this technology is not good or bad. Somebody can use AI to generate graphics, to generate a jingle, maybe make an animation that illustrates their views on the issues, but they can also use it to make it look like their opponent said and did something they did not.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, the potential for bad actors to abuse this is really high.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Groups that violate this requirement will face fines. 4 other states currently have similar laws on the books, including California and Michigan, and similar legislation is being considered in a handful of other states. When the bill passed the assembly last month, Representative Adam Nealon, a Republican from Milwaukee, told his colleagues AI is making it harder to know what's real. Voters are being asked to determine truth from fiction. And to do that, they need the tools and the disclosures. Absolutely.
Yes.
We need to know if we're looking at a fake Governor Evers or a fake Ron Johnson or a fake Tammy Baldwin,
Yeah.
all of them.
Yeah.
Now I just wish we could include disclaimers at the end of political ads highlighting all the lies. Wouldn't that be nice?
That's that's gonna be coming in the election of 31-34.
We'll have to wait for that.
They'll have to wait
apparently.
for that. The sun will probably explode before that happens.
Voters are already very skeptical about AI's place in elections. A November study from the University of Chicago, a majority of Americans are worried about how AI can contribute to the spread of political misinformation. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a justifiable concern.
I don't disagree. I mean, we already have people who just hear politicians and quote unquote leaders say things just off the cuff, and they believe them immediately. Can you imagine what kind of animation they're going to believe? It's scary. I don't want to be scared of it. I don't want to have that attitude, but yeah, it's scary.
Keep this in your back pocket. myvote.wi.gov. myvote.wi.gov. Go to that website, put in your address, gives you the names of all your elected officials, what's going to be on your ballot. Keep yourself informed.
Yes.
Absolutely. All right, stay with us. Money troubles? Maybe not. You're listening to Matenaer On Air. This is the Civic Media Radio Network.
She gets mad and she starts to cry. She takes a swing, man. She can't help. She don't mean no harm. She just don't know what else to do. Trouble with money, baby.
Good morning and welcome to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, Calvin B. coming to you from our studio in downtown Waukesha. You can always join us. You can call or text at 855-75-CIVIC, 855-752-4842, or leave a comment on a live stream if you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, and the platform that Elon has ruined. I think we heard a lot yesterday about the former president's money troubles. He's having trouble getting anyone to help him cover these bonds, this bond that he has to post. Now, however, he might have gotten a little Hail Mary pass.
Oh, baby.
Shareholders voted today to take the former president's media company public, a long-delayed move that will open the owner of Truth Social to stock market investors and give Trump a stake worth billions of dollars.
Really?
Now, this is something, at least from the early things that I've seen, this isn't going to kick in for another 6 months.
Yeah.
And I will be interested to see how many investors are going to jump at this opportunity.
Investors versus like people who just are at home on their phone using Robinhood. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, look, I always want to say, "Oh, this is going to fail," but the man sells out NFTs immediately. He sells out shoes immediately. There is a market of individuals who, no matter what he
That's
does,
true.
they want. But the stock market could be a different thing. And I said to you in jest, and now as I said as a joke, what if Elon said, I'll take both of them.
Does Elon have enough cash to do that?
He borrows, so he has it in stock. He does. He's not
He's
rich
not
with,
cash. He's not cash rich.
so what he did with Twitter is he didn't actually buy with his money. He had investors buy it for him by using his Tesla stock as collateral.
Right.
That's probably what he'd do anyways. But who knows what that worth is at this point. But Twitter and Truth Social combined into one thing. This is not a conspiracy theory, folks. This is something that came out of my brain earlier in the day. There are no reports on this, but if you would have asked me 2 years ago, do you think Elon Musk would own Twitter? I'd be like, no.
Yeah.
So I have no idea where this is going.
Well, it's interesting. As you said, individual investors are one thing, but Wall Streeters are something else.
Yeah.
And I think we all remember Anthony Scaramucci, who worked for about 12 seconds in the Trump administration. He was on Morning Joe this morning and pointed out, again, Donald Trump's difficulty in getting people to cover this bond for him. According to Scaramucci, quote, he defaults on everything.
Yeah.
You know, if you talk to interior designers, architects, construction workers, plumbing people, he doesn't pay his bills. He's always been it that way. You can't give him the money because you don't have the 100% certainty. I mean, if he was rated for Moody's, he would be a C- plus debt rating.
Dang.
And
Scaramucci coming at him hard.
And I'm telling you, if you can Google and find out all the people that Donald Trump ripped off.
Oh, for decades.
Who he hired to do business for him and then either stalled them in court until their company went bankrupt. It's widely available information, and I highly, highly recommend that you take a look at that. Another big thing breaking this morning, the House just approved a $1.2 trillion spending package just hours before a midnight government shutdown deadline, forcing the Senate up against a ticking clock to take up and pass it. The bill funds about 3/4 of the federal government for the next 6 months. It also raises military pay, eliminates U.S. funding for the UN Relief Agency for Palestinians, and it does bolster security at the U.S.-Mexican border. What is interesting about this is before this went to the vote in the House, Scott Perry, who is a Republican, appeared with other members of the House Freedom Caucus and said this about the proposed budget proposal. Let's play that clip, Calvin.
And what is the left, the Democrats, what are they going to run on when they pass this bill? 22,000 border agents, 41,500 detention beds. 22,000 border agents.
Yeah, they don't want that. They don't. I'm sorry, but the MAGA Republicans do not want to solve the problems at the border because it's going to give the Biden administration a win.
Well, I mean, I even saw a tweet this morning from our friend up in the 3rd district, Mr. DDO.
Oh,
and he saw him reposting a tweet about border security, and he just said, "Thanks, Joe Biden." I'm like, "What are you talking about? You are the ones who walked away from a deal. You are the ones who wanted this. You were the ones who got a deal that was actually really good by all accounts, and then you were the ones who listened to your weirdo little leader and said, no, we can't do it because dad says we can't.
Yeah.
We have to wait." And now you have the temerity, the nerve to stand there and go, well, this is all Joe Biden's fault.
855-75 Civic. Bill from Oconomowoc is on the line. Good morning, Bill. How you doing?
Great. As always, great show.
Thank you.
On the border, if you really do your research, you'll find that Fox News and the right-wing groups exploited it in South America and say, come to America, the borders are open. They didn't say it that way. They said the borders are open. They didn't say come to America. And people don't understand that the border is a problem, but it's not chaos. Chaos is what the Republicans created at the border, what they wanted to have happen. But if you remember the big trucking trek to come to the border and see what's going on, it just fizzled.
Yeah.
There was nothing to see. There was nothing going on.
Yeah.
There was none of anything. So it was like a dead issue. Every time the Republicans, just like the Coyote and the Roadrunner, every time the Republican coyotes try and cross the road, they get smacked by reality and lack of evidence every single time.
Then they hold up a little sign that says, ouch.
Right. And then they look both ways. They take another step, and on the other lane, they get smacked.
Yeah.
But yet they keep trying to cross that road of insanity. They keep it up and keep it up, but yet it doesn't have any validity. Well, Fox News will tell you, oh, Trump is just devastating to Biden. Bull. Check out the real polls. Find out where he is. His own party, 23% wants nothing to do with the criminal running for president.
Yeah.
Thanks. Have a great weekend and keep up the good work.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
so much,
friend.
Bill. Really appreciate it. And Bill makes a great point as far as a lot of the Nikki Haley voters even said on that election day, on Super Tuesday,
Yeah.
that they would not vote for Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And his 33% or 35%, whatever it is, isn't growing.
I will believe that from Nikki Haley and Never Trumpers. Sorry, but this is me being cynical. I won't believe it. Skeptical. I'll be skeptical.
Skeptical.
I will believe it when you show me a picture of your ballot on election day, because you can say you won't vote for Trump all you want, but when it comes down to it and the choice is between Biden and Trump, I've heard people say they're going to vote for Trump again.
Yeah. Just to wrap a little bow on this thing about the
Ooh.
budget that the House passed, this didn't take long. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene has now filed a motion to vacate the chair of House Speaker Mike Johnson. So,
Just shy of 5 months, everybody.
well, my God, Mike, it was a great 5 months. We hope you enjoyed yourself.
Memories.
Take a picture of that little sign that says Speaker of the
like
House
the corners of my mind.
before you have to start packing up all your stuff today. All right, stay with us. News is on the way next, and then glamping.
Oh, God.
You're listening to Matenaer On Air. This is the Civic Media Radio Network.
I call this one the Campfire Song. Let's gather around the campfire and sing our campfire song. Our CAMPFIRESONG song.
Oh, we're gonna let
And
this
if
go
you
for a little
don't
bit.
think that
The
we
whole
can
segment
sing
is
it
just this
faster,
song.
then you're wrong, but it'll help if you just sing along. CAMPFIRESONG song.
Good morning and welcome to Matenaer On Air. Jane Matenaer,
What?
Greg Bach, and the surgeon of sound, Calvin, on the board, coming to you from our studio in downtown Waukesha. You can always join us. Call in, text in at 855-75-CIVIC, 855-752-4842. Leave a comment on the live stream where a lot of our party people hang out.
Yeah,
On Facebook, YouTube, and the platform that Elmo has ruined.
they don't.
What?
That's your nickname for him.
I call him Elmo. I call him lots of things, but
Okay.
I also call him Elon. Hey, just a reminder, basketball action. Marquette is playing at 1 o'clock this afternoon. And then if you want to listen to tonight's game between Wisconsin and James Madison, that's going to be at 7:30 p.m. You can catch the game on locally grown radio WFHR in Wisconsin Rapids, and also news from the center in Richland Center on WRCE. Again, Wisconsin taking on James Madison tonight at 7:30. Go Badgers and go Marquette. Going to change things up a little bit and lighten things up for the last half hour of this Friday. Do want to mention we still have snow in downtown Waukesha. Not quite sure what it's like where you are, but I think we have a couple more hours of this. And just a reminder to download that really wonderful, very, very handy 511wi.gov app.
Yes.
And this has the entire state and every accident all over the state. And you can check some of the DOT cameras and stuff like that. So before you have to head out and you want to see what's going to be getting in your way, it's a really useful thing to have. It's 511.wi.gov. All right. I don't personally do this. I would do this, but my husband would not. It's glamping.
Yeah. Now explain to the people.
Calvin, you know what glamping is? You know what glamping is.
I'm familiar with the term, yes.
So it's fancier camping.
Fancy camping.
It's fancy camping. And according to the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel, we have done really, really well as far as glamping goes.
Like we as a people or
The state.
Oh,
I'm
way
talking
to-
about the state.
way to go,
there's-
Wisconsin.
There's a camping app. There's an app for everything. There's a camping app called The Dirt. DYRT.
Oh God.
The Dirt is out with its 2024 Glampy Awards, and one Wisconsin campground is in the top 10. Congratulations to Sailor Springs Glamping in Bayfield, Wisconsin.
Bayfield, about a 5-hour drive from here.
Bayfield is wonderful. I love Bayfield.
Very, very north. And also, a glamping award doesn't feel like a compliment.
Why not?
I don't know. Because glamping doesn't feel like a complimentary activity. You don't, I don't know anybody who says, I went glamping this week. And they say they went camping. Now, what they have in their arsenal of stuff, whether it be a tent or a fancy tent or, a knife or a fancy knife, I don't know. So glamping to me has never been a complimentary word. So by saying it's an excellent glamping site, it doesn't feel like it's.
It is for glampers.
Okay. Are there any glampers out there like glamping exclusively? I'm talking, you don't do
Dirt. I don't floor sleep.
Yeah, you don't
No
floor
floor sleeping.
You
No,
have-
no ground sleeping.
You have a state-of-the-art self-inflating air mattress that it's heated and you have access to Wi-Fi and all that stuff. Do you do that? Tell us about it, because I'm not a big camper. I've never glamped.
I have never glamped. I would glamp.
I would.
I could be pro glamp.
I don't feel like glamping includes a cabin. That's just staying in the woods, because that's what I would.
It depends, though.
Okay.
It depends.
All right.
For example, Sailor Springs Glamping in Bayfield has 3 secluded sites with A-frame cabins and canvas glamping tents. Each site has a wood stove, patio with chairs, porta potty, I would hope, and a queen-size bed in the A-frame. You can also get a charter sailing trip as an add-on. The cost to book the site is between 110 and 160 bucks a night.
That's not bad. If
Really?
you're glamping, that's a hotel room. That's a hotel room in Milwaukee.
Sans the porta potty.
Well, you're roughing it. But to me, like, glamping is all the things that camping are, but just, you take it up a little.
It's fancy. It's fancy camping.
If you have a cabin, you're no longer camping, in my opinion. You are staying in a house, and you might start a fire or maybe cook over that fire, but you're not camping to me in that point. You're not even glamping at that point. You are just staying in a secluded hotel room.
Yeah. Definitely. 855-75-CIVIC. Are you a glamper? Would you go glamping? 855-752-4842. Jack from Merrimack is joining us. Good morning, Jack. How you doing this morning?
Please say you're a glamper.
Good. Good morning. Well, it's a little bit of a long story. I've been rock climbing and mountain climbing for over 40 years, and I have definitely done not glamping in some pretty wild places, like on the edge of a glacier at 14,000 feet in Siberia, places like that. But probably the most interesting experience I had camping was doing what they referred to as a Hemingway style camp when we were on a safari in Tanzania, and that was just a wonderful experience. There were heaters inside the tent if you needed them. There were bathroom and washing facilities inside the tent. There were cots. You were up off the floor. It was a pretty nice experience, I have to admit. I still don't have any problem sleeping on a pad on the ground, and I'm pretty old. Most people would say I'm pretty old for that. But the bottom line to all this is there's nothing wrong with glamping. I certainly enjoyed it when we had it.
That sounds great, Jack. And geez, Jack, we've never met, and we've never had a chance to see what you look like. But now I have this image of you as like Lawrence of Arabia. You're this adventurer with, Tenzing Norgay going to the top of Everest, and that's really cool that you've done all that stuff.
Jack, really quick.
Well, I have never been. I've never been on Everest, to be truthful. However, I did ask my wife to marry me on the top of Kilimanjaro.
Oh, that's adorable.
That's wonderful.
I love that.
That's great.
You said you were camping. You said, where was it? Like in Siberia? Where was it?
Yeah, we were on the 20th of October peak in Siberia in, I think it was 1980. It was the year before the Soviet Union broke apart.
It was 89.
So 88,
89. Yeah.
So did you sleep off the side of the mountain in a tent like they do nowadays, where they're like pitch a tent on the side of the mountain where there's nothing below you? Did you do that?
No, we didn't. We weren't quite in. I have done that on big walls in Yosemite, but we were actually sort of on the edge of the glacier on the mountain at that point. There were four of us in a two-person tent, which was kind of interesting in itself, and that tent was held onto the glacier with ice screws, it was a very, it's an incredibly beautiful place.
Yeah.
Oh, I bet.
You could see for miles.
I bet.
The area was it was really pristine. I mean, it definitely did not see a lot of people up in those mountains. They're pretty remote. It took the helicopter something like 6 hours just to get us there.
Wow. Well, I got to give you have nerves of steel, my friend. If you can sleep pinned up next to a mountain, I give you an immense amount of credit. Thank you so very much, Jack. And as always, thank you so very, very much for listening.
Jack is just an amazing human.
He is.
I get excited when I wake up in the morning and do a couple of loads of laundry. I'm like, I've really attacked the day.
Look what I did.
Look what
today.
I've done with myself. I'm proud of me. Then Jack's like, I once wrestled a bear to save my family. And he probably really did that. We have a few text messages coming through right now. Listening 608 listening to WMDX Madison Plumber as they are identified. I have a few acres with a 30 foot camper with 2 bathrooms, a fireplace, and a full
Ooh,
kitchen.
ooh.
I have it permanently set up. All I have to do is press 2 buttons when I get there to get settled. I use it more like a cabin than a camper. Oh my God, I want that
That
in my life.
that sounds great. I didn't know you could get a camper with a
That sounds
fireplace.
amazing, man. Liz from Saukville listening on WAUK. I love not camping, not glamping, cabins for me, smiley face. And then finally, from the 608, how about Chef Cal at the Smorgasbord of Sound, or is it game over? Oh, we're still doing nicknames, I
Sure,
guess.
well, we'll take your nickname
Chef
for
Cal at the Smorgasbord of Sound, and I once gutted a grizzly, and a glamper came out.
Hudum-bum.
Hey-o!
How do you feel about glamping? 855-75-CIVIC, 855-752-4842. Talking about this, Milwaukee Journal Sentinel has an article this morning. The Dirt, it's a camping app called The Dirt, out with its 2024 Glampy Awards, and Sailor Springs Glamping in Bayfield came in number 10. According to the founder of The Dirt, Sarah Smith, says glamping is growing every year and rapidly evolving to take so many forms: airstreams, domes, pods, cocoons, fire towers, covered wagons, cabooses. Spending time in nature is always rewarding, but glamping adds another dimension of fun and originality. The award winners selected by the Dirt app's camping community, and it was pretty much on a subjective basis. The criteria included overall glampiness,
I hate that so much.
originality, Instagram
It's a
ability.
rigid glampany.
Ooh. Instagram ability and availability.
Instaglampily. I just downloaded the app.
The Dirt?
Yeah, I did.
You don't even camp.
But they have other things like cabins and RVs for rent. You can do that too.
That would be
It's
fun.
all inclusive at the Dirt.
That's kind of nice, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, like I said to you earlier, I don't mind camping. I'm just always uncomfortable, and I always feel like I'm warm. So that's why I like a cabin. I love the woods. I love being out in nature. I love looking up at the stars and seeing millions of stars. But the camping aspect, and please don't at me on this, and I know if you love it, that's great, but I'm always just like, this is uncomfortable and I want to take a shower.
Well, and I think that, yeah, for me, that's certainly a big part of it. It's, okay, there's the whole spider factor.
Well, there could be
They creep me out.
there could be a spider right behind you right now.
Well, that's true, but I don't know. There's something about being at a tent on the ground, and I just feel a lot more vulnerable, for whatever stupid reason, with the spiders. But I would glamp. I would definitely glamp.
I think you'd glamp it up.
Sailor Springs Glamping, one of only 2 glamp grounds. I didn't make that up.
I know you didn't.
One of only 2 glamp grounds in the Midwest to make the list. The other is a Finter in Minnesota. Other glamping spots that did make the list are in Texas, Idaho, West Virginia, Nevada, Oregon, Washington, Tennessee, and New York.
Just an update. I officially deleted the Dirt app off my phone.
Why?
It is $40 a year to use, and I don't camp enough to justify
To
that.
justify
Yeah,
that. That's
exactly.
true. Well, that's good to know.
Yeah, but hey, if it's your life, get out
That's the
there.
thing. If you're a glamper, now you know where to go. And we will include all of this information in our show notes.
Oh, we will, huh?
Once we get the podcast posted after the show ends, it takes about an hour. All right, one more segment to go. Stay here. You're listening to Matenaer On Air, and we're coming to you across the vast Civic Media Radio Network.
Gather around the campfire and sing our campfire song. Our CAMPFIRESONG song. And if you don't think that we can sing it faster, then you're wrong. But it'll help if you just sing along.
Bum, bum.
CAMPFIRESONG song. CAMPFIRESONG song. And if you don't think that we can sing it faster, then you're wrong. But it'll help if you just sing along. CAMPFIRESONG song. Patrick.
Song. CAMPFIRESONG.
Squidward. Good. It'll help. It'll help if you just sing along. Oh yeah!
Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, the surgeon of sound, Calvin on the board, coming to you from our studio in downtown Waukesha. Join us. You can call, you can text 855-75-CIVIC, 855-752-4842. Leave a comment on the live stream if you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, or the platform that Elon has ruined. Just a couple of reminders. If you ever have an idea for something you'd like us to talk about on the show, if there is something going on in your local community, whether it's in Oshkosh or Green Bay or Richland Center or in Amory, wherever you are in Wisconsin, and if there's something you would like us to highlight, someone you would like us to talk to, just send that email to Jane Says, JANESAYS, Jane Says at civicmedia.us, and we'll see what we can do about getting that person on, or at least talking about the subject that is important to you and what's going on in your community. We were talking about glamping before we went to break. An article in the Journal Sentinel about a place in Bayfield that just made the top 10 list for the best glamping spots around the country.
Yeah.
And there was kind of a companion article that came along with this in the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel from Drew Dawson. This is going back to, actually, it was on January 9th of this year. That highlights all of the comments that people leave. So there's all kinds of places, I guess, where you can leave comments if you go to visit a park.
These are great.
Drew compiled all of these bad comments about state parks in this one article, and it's priceless.
It's fantastic.
It's just priceless.
Oh my gosh. Do you want me to just read some random ones?
Share some random ones,
Okay,
and who they're related, which park it's related
this
to.
is Devil's Lake State Park,
Which is so beautiful.
For the okayish views, it would really only deserve 3 or 4 stars. Rained.
Well, you're out. Yes, it does rain.
I have never paid money to see rocks. Was very disappointed they wanted $16 for a day pass. And here is my favorite, and I think this is going to be a thread through all of them. The cell signal is terrible.
Oh, people. These are complaints that people had after visiting a number of state parks around the country. And Drew Dawson from the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel put this together in January. That was about Devil's Lake State Park, our very own. It's a beautiful, beautiful park.
Yeah, Devil's Lake is one. When you talk about state parks, that's the one that's always at the top of people's mind because I think it's the most famous.
And it's spectacular.
It's beautiful,
and
it's not far from here either.
Right.
It's an easy drive. All right, we're gonna go to Apostle Islands National Lakeshore now.
Another one of my favorite places in the world.
Cool, although so. I don't know how that works. I don't know
which is it?
Yeah, the ice formations were to be found alongside the shore or wall. Some of them were good and some were okay types. There weren't really any caves as such. Yes, ice formations were good, but if you are in Minnesota for a good period of time, ice is not a spectacular thing anyway.
So they're talking about the ice caves along Lake Superior.
Yeah.
And they don't form every year because the conditions have to be right for this. So apparently not happy.
Yeah.
Not happy with the ice.
No, we're gonna take that unhappiness and we're gonna move our way up to Peninsula State Park.
Okay.
For such a beautiful landscape, the maintenance on the bathrooms completely skipped spider eradication.
There you go.
Big one for you.
Spiders.
And it's such a shame my wife may never camp again, at least not to Peninsula State Park. And another one here, absolutely no TV signal or cell, Wi-Fi signal, 0, period, zilch, period.
Well, yes. You're in nature.
Yes, of course.
You're in nature.
Oh, this one is very Midwestern. Copper Falls State Park.
I've been there.
The darn directions took us to Pierre, South Dakota. Sir or ma'am or person, I don't think the park is to blame.
No, I don't think so either.
Yeah.
If you were trying to go to Copper Falls, which is kind of around Hayward,
yeah,
and you ended up in South Dakota, you have other problems.
I once tried to go to a national park, and I think it was in Utah. I think it was Big Forks, but I can't remember. I'd never been there. I typed it in, and I drove up to a shopping mall with the same name because I didn't check. That was 4 hours away from the park. So it's more of a you problem than a park problem.
This is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
I love this so much. Again, talking about Copper Falls State Park in Wisconsin. The forest management of this park is horrible. Hard to see around all the overgrowth and very limited views along the trail. Typical overemphasis on letting nature just take over. Hopefully, someone can get into our park system that can change this culture of just letting nature be nature as if humans don't exist. We need to sit down and have coffee.
At Copper Falls, I like this one. This was definitely written by a 15-year-old kid who writes poetry. Wasn't much to look at. Don't know why these falls get so much hype. I've seen better.
I've seen better.
Yeah. I'm only going to read one from Wyalusing State Park. It's the one that wins, period. Margaritas are very weak.
They sell margaritas at Wyalusing State Park.
I guess so. Weak margaritas.
Kohler Andre State Park. Basically, you can bring your dog to the campground, but you can't really do anything else there. And if you enjoy recreating scenes from the Bible, you will surely enjoy the sky, which is constantly darkened by swarms of giant dragonflies. We will put these in the show notes as well if you want to have a good laugh. Drew Dawson from the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel.
Can I read two more
Real
really quick? First one, all in caps, 2, period, much, period, grass, period, get rid of it. And my favorite, for Mirror Lake State Park, just go to Devil's Lake.
All right. News is coming up next, followed by the incomparable Todd Alba program from noon until 2 p.m. And the 1 o'clock hour, Todd is going to have the next word you want to text in via the Civic Media app for our Ride into Spring contest. So make sure you're listening to Todd all the time, but especially between 1 and 2 p.m. today. Thank you so very, very much, Greg and Calvin. Without you, the show does not run. Thanks to all of you for listening and texting and calling and watching on the live stream. It means everything to us. I hope you find some joy today and you have the chance to share it. Have a great weekend. This is the Civic Media Radio Network.